deadly crash in Sycamore claims the life of a young woman and her brother was behind the wheel. Sycamore residents living in a flood-prone area are caught in a money tug-of-war and find out why a group of NIU engineers are flying high these days. NTC News Tonight starts now.
You're watching NTC News, DeKalb County's only television news source, on the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center. This is NTC News Tonight.
A young woman is dead after a car crash over the weekend. Good evening. I'm Trey Ward. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Burgess. The woman's brother is being charged with drunk driving after the accident that ejected his sister from the vehicle. Police say 19-year-old Tyrus Taylor was driving the vehicle with his sister Tiffany Taylor near Plank Road in Sycamore around 3 a.m. Saturday when the crash happened. According to police, the two were on their way home from a bonfire when the vehicle lost control before rolling and hitting a utility pole. Tiffany Taylor was thrown from the vehicle and pronounced dead on the scene. Taylor has been charged with aggravated DUI along with 2 other traffic violations.
Another issue in Sycamore has people angry. Plans to finally buy a Sycamore trailer park that floods regularly have begun. Here's more on how the fight over money between the owner and DeKalb County will affect the residents who just want to get out.
5 years I've been living down in that trailer park. Listen to this. I've been to meeting after meeting.
Evergreen Village residents came to the Legislative Center to meet with DeKalb County to finally put an end to a 7-year-long fight that some say has gone on far too long.
I've lived through the 96 flood, I've lived through the 99 flood, the 2001 flood, the 2006 flood. And I thought that
Frank Santoro owned and managed the park with his family since 1979, despite it being located on a floodplain next to the Des Plaines River. And after the horrible flood in 2007, Santoro has been fighting with the county on a fair price he can agree to.
They need to find out what the actual value is, and I want a fair market value.
The county rejected Santoro's $2.6 million amount that he wanted in order to sell his land. The board claimed they will only offer $1.47 million for the property, and they are not coming down from the price.
It's not coming around again. This money is not coming around again.
Everybody wants to get the value for their property. It's a very American thing. But the bold reality is we can't offer any more than we have.
Here outside my window are some of the mobile homes that have been damaged over the years beyond repair. Some with broken pipes and noticeable holes in the siding. So something as little as rainfall can become the residents' worst nightmare. That nightmare hit home for Santoro's son-in-law and the park's repairman, Jeremiah Moore, who says that the park has killed the Santoro family because of stress over the years.
This was a family, this park, the office, they were a family. We did have a big one, but from 07 on, just gone.
Jeremiah tells us that Santoro will be accepting the offer to put the storm behind him and his residents, literally. In Sycamore, I'm Trey Ward for NTC News. We reached out to Frank Santoro regarding Jeremiah's claims, but he declined to be interviewed. If he does accept the offer, the county tells us that residents will be placed in homes under Section 8.
Here is an update on the death at NIU. A 31-year-old NIU staff member working at Neptune Hall is dead due to natural causes. The housing and dining employee was found Wednesday morning. The man had a long medical history and was being treated at the time of his death. The family is not releasing any further information at the moment. An NIU spokesperson said the man worked for the university since 2010.
Another issue in DeKalb. NIU students are collecting donations for Feed 'em Soup to help get the charity out of debt. NIU's business fraternity Pi Sigma Epsilon collected more than $1,800 over the weekend. Feed 'em Soup is $10,000 in debt and has 30% less supplies than it did in the fall. Feed 'em Soup representatives say their rent increased from $500 to $3,200 a month when the Church of DeKalb left the shared location in May. The winter also raised the heating bill from about $400 to $1,200 per month. Tables are set up outside of Walmart and Walgreens to collect donations.
The DeKalb Police Department is looking for your help to report crimes. Their smartphone app called iWatch DeKalb allows people to send police anonymous reports and tips. Reporter Emily Fannin shares what the new features include.
Code enforcement and crime-free housing issues can now be reported through the city's free iWatch DeKalb application. Animal neglect, poorly maintained buildings, and abandoned vehicles are some examples people can now report with the newly added categories. From the comfort of your pajamas, anyone can send a tip. Senior fashion major Madeline Endries is now a frequent user of the app since December 2013, when an armed robbery occurred in the rental office of her apartment complex at University Heights. Madeline shares how the app has benefited her.
It just makes me feel a lot more comfortable, especially when I'm studying or if I'm walking alone through the halls at night and stuff. If I see something suspicious, I can just take a picture of the door or something that I don't really like and send it in. It makes me just feel a lot better.
By simply choosing the appropriate category, users enter the address of the violation and give a short description of the situation. You also have the option to take a photo or video to include with the rest of the information. Once the tip is submitted, dispatchers review it and take action as appropriate. Users can also chat with the dispatcher through a messaging system to check the status of their report. Community Relations Officer Chad McNett says on average 13 to 15 tips are submitted a week.
We'd like to see, crimes solved with it. We've had numerous arrests by it, but there's Crime Stoppers and things like that. We'd like to see this be another tool for a way that people can send in information they might have.
The application is a simple solution to offset the numerous calls of people reporting piles of garbage, animals left unattended, and sidewalks that are not shoveled. iWatch DeKalb advises people to not report emergencies through the device, but instead to call 911. Emily Fannin, NTC News, in DeKalb.
Going back to a story in Sycamore for a moment. Starting today, the Sycamore Water Department is flushing the fire hydrants across the city. The hydrants are being flushed to ensure ideal water pressure while also purifying the water. The water department says after the flushing, the water occasionally becomes discolored. If that happens, just run your water for a few minutes and it will clear up shortly. You can find the full list of locations that will be flushed on Sycamore's city website.
Moving on to a story here at NIU, a group of NIU engineering students are building an airplane called the Husky Flyer 2. Here's more on the project that will sweep you off your feet. The aero design team here at NIU is building what they like to call the Husky Flyer 2. After finishing the airplane, they are sending it off to a competition in Texas.
There's 75 total teams, and there's people from India, or there's teams from India, there's teams from Poland, there's teams from different parts of South America. There's a few other United States colleges.
Outside of class, the students have spent over 1,000 hours designing and building the Husky Flyer.
My friends came up to me and said, "Hey Dan, do you want to build an airplane?" I'm like, I like building things, sure.
In building the plane, the most important factor is the lift-to-drag ratio. So, the lighter the plane, the better. And just like every big project, this one had its complications and obstacles to overcome.
If the tail is too heavy, the issue you have is when you take off and you're going to be moving around, the second your tail drops, you have no control whatsoever, and your plane will crash.
Many of the parts are tested here in this wind tunnel to check the aerodynamics and the lift. They built a small-scale system and mount it right here inside this tunnel.
For the testing in the wind tunnel, just the complexity of being able to get efficient numbers, that was a big issue.
But the design team says that the time and effort they put in is all worth it.
Seeing that baby take off, that's the best part.
After months of hard work, the aero design team is looking forward to sending it off to Texas in style. In DeKalb, Erica Burgess, NTC News. The Aero team took the Husky Flyer 2 to a competition in Texas, and Dan Flynn will be joining us in a little bit to share the results.
It would be nice if the weather would have stayed clear and warm for the Aero team to go fly the Husky Flyer 2.
I don't think anyone could argue with that. This spring has been an unusual one, that's for sure.
Richard Medlicott is here. Richard, does it look like we'll be able to go outside once again this week?
Yeah, you know, winter taking another swing at us right now with some snow this evening. But temperatures will get back into the 40s. Let's look at your Tuesday's outlook. You can see 40s across the area, only 40 in Chicago, but 46 in Moline and Peoria. We'll tell you if there's warmer weather on the way, so stay with us. You're watching NTC News Tonight. Nailed it that time.
Listen now, can you hear the bluebirds? Oh, look up now, can you feel the sun?
Well, welcome back. I'm Richard Medlicott with your DeKalb area forecast. Here's what we've been seeing today. Cloudy across the area and rain this afternoon turning into snow. So winter not quite done with us yet. Temperatures only reached into the 40s. That's almost 20 degrees below average. Wouldn't we like to be seeing those summer-like temperatures? 84, the record set back in 2006. This is that low pressure system off to our northeast. That brought a cold front over the weekend, and here's the rain-snow line over or past our area, that cold air making for the snow today. But off to our northwest, a high-pressure system that's going to dry out and bring us some warmer temperatures for tomorrow. So for tonight, we will see snow, and it will be gusty, so just make sure you bundle up. It's going to be feeling colder than the low of 24 with those wind gusts. Just make sure you bring a hat, gloves, the whole shebang, as if it's still winter. Tomorrow, though, it will be sunny, only going to get into the lower 40s, though, and then cool off again below 30 degrees for tomorrow night. You see this wind shift, though, that's going to allow for warmer temperatures in the area. So getting back into the 50s on Wednesday, still windy, though, and then 60s on Thursday. Your next chance for rain being on Friday, and so warmer temperatures for the end of the week this week, definitely a better end than the start of the week. Back to you guys at the news desk. Trey, Erica?
NIU is known for many things, but probably not for building airplanes until now.
This is Dan Flynn, president of the NIU Aero Design Team. He's here to tell us a little bit about the airplane that he and his team built. They sent it out to compete against schools all around the world.
So how's it going, Dan?
Pretty good, how are you?
So what exactly is Husky Flyer 2?
It's an RC plane that we built. It's got about a 90-inch wingspan with about a 50-inch body, and it's based off a Telemaster and a C-130, somewhere in between the two of them.
How did the idea come about to build this airplane?
The NIU Aero Design has been around since about 2006 or 2007, and we just were pretty much going back to the basics, get a good, solid plane to fly for competition this year.
So which part of the project took the longest? The actual design process or the actual building of the plane?
Designing and testing of different materials definitely took the longest. The actual build process was fun, so I don't know if it just felt like it took shorter, but the design definitely took the longest portion.
What did you find most challenging, do you think?
All of the paperwork and making sure everything was in order was definitely the biggest issue with this competition this year.
And finally, Dan, how did the competition in Texas turn out?
It actually went really well for us. We were the first NIU CEET Aero Design team to actually bring home an operational plane, so we were all really happy with that. And then we placed 17 for our oral presentation and along with our actual flight competition. So we were all really happy with that.
Where do you see yourself? You know, you guys are building these planes now. You know, in 10 years, what do you think some of you engineers are going to be doing and building?
I know a lot of us do want to go into different aero design, different companies that work with airplanes and different things like that, and just different design aspects. And this gives us a good foot in the door mentality with it and gives us a good grasp on it.
What do you personally want to do?
I'm open to a lot of things as of right now. I don't really have any set in stone plans for myself. If I end up going into aero design or anything like that, I'd be extremely happy. But everything's pretty open right now for me.
Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, Dan.
Thank you.
At the end of the semester, since NIU has started adding pluses and minuses to its grading scale.
So, we asked students around the campus how they are feeling about the change. Here's what you told us.
As an NIU student, I feel that the new grading system, to a certain extent, is unnecessary.
New grading system is mostly helpful because it actually influences students to push themselves even harder.
Like for my my English 103 class, I got an A-, and I think it would have been an A if there wasn't that grading scale. So yeah, it kind of hurt me.
It hurts your grade if you don't get exactly what you need to pass the class. So yeah, it sucks. I don't like it personally.
It sounds like students are missing the old grading structure.
Thankfully, it's up to each teacher whether they want to use the plus or minus system.
3 people are dead after a shooting in Kansas City.
And a Utah woman is being charged with the murder of her own children. Here's what's happening in today's World Watch.
3 people are dead after shootings at 2 Jewish community centers in Kansas. Police say Frazier Glenn Cross, a self-proclaimed white supremacist, drove to a Jewish community center in Overland Park, Kansas, began asking people if they were Jewish, and opened fire with a shotgun. The dead include a doctor and his 14-year-old grandson.
A Utah woman faces murder charges after police found the remains of 7 babies inside her former home. Over the course of 10 years, the police say Megan Huntsman gave birth to and then killed at least 6 babies. The remains were found inside this home in Pleasant Grove, Utah, a small city just north of Provo.
In Ukraine, a government deadline for pro-Russian separatists to lay down their arms has passed, but there's no sign of the activists backing down. These are pictures from a city in eastern Ukraine where witnesses say separatists forced police out of a building. A Ukrainian police officer was severely beaten and later died.
The effort to find missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is shifting away from air searches. 12 planes were sent out today with no results, and with no underwater pulses detected in almost a week, Australian authorities say they will stop listening for pings coming from the floor of the Indian Ocean and will now deploy an underwater vehicle. And that's today's World Watch.
Hey everyone, Kyle Jacobs here. We got a lineup of highlights today. First up, we got the Masters. Jordan Spieth, 6 under in the greenside bunker, jumps it onto the surface, nice bounce, and goes in for a birdie 2, putting Spieth at -7. Now Spieth, 8 under, but misses the putt, dropping him to -7 with a bogey. Bubba Watson gets that, ties Spieth at 7 under. Now Watson bends this putt right around for a birdie in an outright lead at -8. And with that little tap in, Watson gets par and wins the Masters. Let's move now from the green to the diamond as the Cubs play the Cardinals. Bottom of the second, Cubs with an early lead 2-0. Matt Carpenter ties up the game with his 2 RBI single to the center. Now, Johnny Peralta nails the RBI double into the left field, putting the Cardinals up 5-3. Now Peter Burgess with a ground that bobbles there at third, letting a run score. Cardinals win 6-3. The Cubs have lost 3 of 4 overall, but let's move to the court with the Bulls versus the Knicks. In the third quarter, Carmelo Anthony hits this pull-up jumper. He had 17 points in 28 minutes. Later that quarter, Tim Hardaway Jr. with the steal and the fast break dunk. Hardaway had the game high of 20 points. Now in the fourth, Joakim Noah finds Taj Gibson for the two-handed slam over those Knicks. But Bulls lose it 100-89. Let's end on a humorous note by looking at the South Carolina spring game for our play of the day. South Carolina's Dylan Thompson back to pass, and there he sends it deep, only to find it connect with South Carolina women's basketball coach, Dawn Staley. Check it out as Staley sneaks off the sideline into the end zone and just catches it with her whole body. The players lift her up, and with that catch, Joa Stanley gets our play of the day. I don't know about you, but I'd sign her up to play football next season. That's all for sports. Until next time.
Coming up, we'll tell you what has the Geese on campus looking for somewhere else to call home.
I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
It seems like geese are trying to become the new NIU mascot. They are everywhere. The university is trying to change that. Meet the Gooseinator. This remote-controlled device was recently purchased by NIU to help lure geese out of the area. The university decided to find a non-contact, non-lethal way to move the geese away from campus. Geese in the area can be hazardous to students who are on campus. Studies show that using the Gooseinator for a week will keep the birds away. But right now, these geese seem to be staying put.
Sounds like the geese around campus could soon be a thing of the past.
Hey, it would be nice to not have to deal with them when walking to class.
NTC News Tonight is produced and directed by NIU students.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
You guys have a great night.